MyPillow CEO Mike Lindell was at CPAC, the annual conservative conference, and he was approached by Robert Costa about something that people have been wondering about for quite some time. He had some notes back in January of 2021 that featured words, some suspicious papers that featured words that people were worried about. So for instance, Lindell held notes in his hand as he stood outside the doorway to the West Wing lobby mid-afternoon on January 15th, 2021. The notes included a suggestion about invoking the Insurrection Act, by which a president can deploy active military troops into the streets and martial law if necessary. Okay, so obviously this is after the 2020 election. Mike Lindell is one of the most vociferous individuals when it comes to denying the fact that Biden won the election. He keeps repeating that the election was stolen from Donald Trump. And so when Robert Costa saw him over at CPAC, he's like, well, let me ask him about those papers and see what he has to say. And Lindell did not take kindly to the question. Let's watch.
That picture will go down in history of helping save this country.
Who gave you the papers?
Who gave me the papers? That's none of your business. A bunch of lawyers did. I've never read them. Hold it. I've never read them. I went in there with evidence on January 15th. You guys are old news. You're regurgitating old news. No, January 15th, I went in there with 4 papers that shows Dominion and the election crime of the machines in China and attacking our country, cyber attack, all 50 states, over 12 million votes that Donald Trump won by 82 million to 68 million was the real count.
Who gave you the papers?
I just said a whole bunch of lawyers did. I've never read them.
Did you ever discuss martial law with President Trump?
No.
And why were you carrying those papers?
I just told you, but you didn't listen. Why don't you go back and watch your own rotten news?
So combative. So, you know what's kind of amazing? So like Lindell and others on the right wing who spread all sorts of election related lies are now facing serious lawsuits from Dominion, basically the voting machine company that they targeted with all their lies and stuff. But like they keep spreading the lies. Like it's kind of amazing.
No, Fox News is savvier, so they backpedaled.
Yeah, Fox News did backpedal. Even OAN and Newsmax, they're a lot more careful now and they backpedaled a little bit. But Mike Lindell is like, Dominion, like I'm gonna keep spreading the lie. I mean, dude, I go back and forth with feeling a little bad for the guy. Like
he's unhinged.
He is. So are we the bad guys for making fun of him?
No, because look guys, I'm not worried about random lunatics in the country. We got another video with this guy. He's just totally and utterly nuts. I'm worried about 2 things related to Lindell. One is the people who tricked him into this and took advantage of him. And we actually broke that story at TYT Investigates. It was the National Prayer Breakfast, which unbelievably Biden and other Democrats still attend. And
insane.
They got Lindell to come because one of the Baldwin brothers was there, and they got Ben Carson. This was before the 2016 election, and they converted him, and they made him a zealot, right? So they weaponized Mike Lindell because he had a lot of money back then, right? And the other people that I'm worried about is the people who believe him, and unfortunately in this country, the polling indicates that's tens of millions of people. It's unbelievable. I don't mind people who have mental issues. Of course not, we wanna help them. We're progressives, we're bleeding heart liberals, right? But when tens of millions of people believe folks who are literally deranged, that's a big problem for the country. So now let me give you a little bit of background before we go to the last crazy video. So those papers, he said, I didn't read them, except at the time when asked, he said, it was stuff to help the American people. So how would you know it's gonna help the American people if you didn't read it, Mike? Oops. So of course he knew. And that quote that Anna gave you was in the papers, photographed. Martial law if necessary. So quoting the Insurrection Act, I told you, we've been telling you this a long time. They had a 3-hour conversation in the White House about whether to declare martial law and end this country. And by the way, the good news that came out of that is every Trump advisor said, no, Mr. President, if you do that, we'll all resign. So even the most diehard guys who were left at the very, very end were like, no, we don't want you to end democracy, but Trump wanted it. He had to be talked out of it, that's why it took 3 hours. Sidney Powell's mentioned in the paper, Sidney Powell wanted to do it. Mike Flynn, former national security advisor for Trump, was the main advocate for it. And Lindell is carrying in papers like an idiot. He exposes them so that people could take the pictures of it, and we know that what was in the papers. And it's telling that he's lying about it now, because, I mean, you want to talk about loose lips sinking ships. I mean, Mike Lindell is the king of sinking his own ship, but even he is so worried about it that he's now pretending that he doesn't know what was in the papers.
Right.
So it's bad stuff. And now here's another part of that story that I love. So on that day that you see him in the picture holding the papers, etc., he went into the White House and talked to Trump and others. He got sent around to different offices. They sent him to the national security advisor. The fact that the guy can meet with the national security advisor is a shame for the whole country, right? But anyway.
That's such a good point.
Yeah, and that was Robert O'Brien. But the problem with that was those papers advocated for Robert O'Brien being fired. The dude's got issues. Then he goes to White House counsel. The papers indicate the White House counsel should be fired. There's names crossed out, and then saying acting CIA chief, for example, in another case, right? And has a different name. So then when the White House counsel wouldn't meet with him, New York Times reported, Mr. Lindell got loud while waiting in the West Wing lobby.
Oh, did he?
Okay, I've never heard anything more credible in my life.
That's true. Most credible statement repeated in mainstream press.
Yes.
Yeah. Now, speaking of the press, of course, the right wing loves to go after them, especially when they ask these types of questions of one of their own. And so Mike Lindell got people surrounding him to do a chant in response to Costa's question. Let's take a look.
Traitors, 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 traitors. CBS, Robert Costa is a traitor to the United States of America. No, you're a traitor. This is old news. You're regurgitating. You care about, why are you protect a company called Dominion and you attack a company called MyPillow? You're a traitor to our country. You're a disgusting traitor. Traitor, 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 traitor. You're disgusting, disgusting. CBS, you're one step above Fox, who doesn't talk at all. That's what you guys are. He's asking me about the picture at the White House a year ago. You're disgusting.
You won't tell me the lawyers are
You're disgusting. You're disgusting. You're disgusting. Are you a communist?
Are you a communist? No, my favorite part is, why would you trash a company? Why would you support a company called Dominion and trash a company called MyPillow?
What difference does it make what they're called? He's just doing marketing. He's doing an ad there. That's hilarious. In the middle of his insane rant.
Oh my God.
Okay.
God, pillow sounds so good right now.
Not my pillow, but a pillow. Okay. So, look, last thing on this. Notice that the stories about how he was advocating for martial law in America, which would end our democracy and have military rule in this country. And he calls the reporter a traitor.
Goddamn right.
Okay, so of course, in reality, he's the traitor. He's the traitor to the idea of America and democracy in the first place. But guys, one last thing to end on a sour note, because that's a fun way to go, is that these guys, they take things that they did and accuse the other people of doing it, so that once you get to talking about, wait, no, they're the traitors, it seems like a wash. Well, I can't tell, everybody's calling each other traitor. You know who did that brilliantly? And I never say this about him, but Trump did it with fake news. Remember, the original story was Donald Trump's team was putting out literal fake articles about the election and about Hillary Clinton, etc., and it was called fake news. Trump took the term and then said, no, the real news is the fake news. And now nobody remembers that it was Trump's team that was doing the fake news in the first place, and that's how the term had come about, right? And so that's what Lindell is doing here with the word traitor. But anyone who thinks we should do martial law in America and have military rule instead of democracy is the definition of a traitor.
Yep. Yeah, and look, Mike Lindell, that's the thing. I don't think he knows that what he's doing is what a traitor would do. I think he genuinely does think he's trying to save America. He genuinely does think the election was stolen from Trump. And I think that distinction is an important one, right? Because he's been used, he's been manipulated. And I wish he were smarter than that, but he's not. And it really pains me to see him being used like this. And he could lose his entire business, everything that he's built as a result of that.
But guys, why does the right wing, remember there's 330 million people in the country. They could pick anyone to be the person that they gravitate towards. If you had a guy like that on the left, we don't gravitate towards them. We say, no, you shouldn't listen to that guy. That guy's a lunatic, Jimmy Dore. Okay.
He's not, but like you guys, we got to stop saying that they're on the left. It drives me crazy.
No, I know, but
not on the left.
No, but my point is that Dave Rubin, Jimmy Dore, et cetera, were pretending to Tulsi Gabbard, were pretending to be on the left.
Right.
But when they were exposed, it took a little while, but people eventually said, no, they're not with us. They're not left. They're fake left. They're alt left. They're not left at all. They're the furthest thing from progressive, right? As they back one right wing point after another, after another, after another. But the right wing does not do that. They see a guy like Mike Lindell and they don't say, oh, no, of course he doesn't represent us. The guy's got issues, let's get him some help, right? They look at him and go, nailed it.
Yeah.
When you're trying to make sure that you destroy democracy and someone reports on that, they're a goddamn traitor and a communist. So the fact that the right wing gravitates towards those people is what's deeply troubling, not just for Mike Lindell, but for the country.
Because they're shameless and they see someone who can be used as a tool. They see someone who can be manipulated. That's why they do.
And I think a lot of the right wingers actually believe it, and that's even scarier.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks for watching The Young Turks. We really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.